Ramakrishnan. That is future creation. Future creation basically we are talking about the India account. India account basically we are talking about the SBI account, Amazon account, and after 2 days basically the earthquake is going to happen in India. So that topic actually we are discussing. In this basically we have discussed about the lava data. That is basically after certain time basically the 100 crore child is going to happen. That lava basically data is dumped inside the lava inside the land basically, and that land basically is going to get the data after certain time. So that time basically the data keeps on processing, keeps on processing, keeps on processing, and that processing basically is the future creation process basically. Who will go next and who will not go next basically. That is the which group basically will go to the next level and basically take that 100 crore child data, and who basically can't take. So that type up to that level basically the mapping basically is done in the land side basically. If in land side basically this type of mapping is done, then basically you can just imagine basically up to what level the system basically might have created. System means you can understand basically the system means government creates the system and the private group basically creates the system. So these all are basically the systems. And if this basically nature basically has created up to this level system, then according to nature only the entire creation has created the system. Why? Because from nature only basically you get the ideas, and ideas basically are connecting to your brains basically. So you can just understand basically what actually I want to say. So according to the ideas basically the brains are basically connected. According to the ideas only your brain basically gets connects. So you can just understand. So this is basically like that basically. So brain connects. Brain basically is created basically according to the nature data basically. So one person basically asked the question: 100 crore child basically is dumped. 100 crore child data basically is dumped inside the land. That keeps on processing, keeps on processing. In that basically the universe group basically checks whether the future basically, for example, there are around 190 crore uh, people, 190 crore population of Indian nationality. In that basically, how many groups are going to be suit in this 100 crore data basically. So they basically do the marking basically according to that. They do the marking basically. They do the marking means which generation basically can go next and which generation basically can not go next basically. So that's basically like that basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level these things are basically are connected. So to what level the things basically are connected. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the things basically are connected. That is the future creation. So future creation, what one person basically asked the question, how basically human basically thinks basically. That is through that lava data only basically. According to the lava data only, the future the one person basically asked the question, how this 100 crore child data basically are prepared. That is according to the current data only. That is the current people basically who are the in the Indian nationality as a Indian nationality basically they are staying. So according to that only the 100 crore child preparation basically has done. So the way of thinking basically that is of Indian nationalities as a current data basically. But as the connection basically happens, as the universe group basically checks the data that this person basically suits in the 100 crore data or not. Basically. Universe group basically touch the human body basically. If they don't suit basically, then basically they try to repair it basically. Then also basically it doesn't get repaired basically. Then basically they take the action basically. So that's according to that like that basically. In that basically lots of basically brain idea and the way of thinking basically gets changed because universe group basically always try to save the people basically. And they basically know that basically how many hard work basically is done and how many hard work basically is done to create the world basically. So they will not finish the world and they will not finish the human basically so easily. Why? Because they know that up to what level hard work basically is done basically. So it's like that basically. So you can just imagine basically. So you can just imagine basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level things basically are connected. So you can just imagine basically up to what level things basically are connected. So you can just imagine basically up to what level basically things are basically connected. So they basically tries to repair the stuff basically. After repairing the stuff, they allocates the stuff basically. They basically allocates the stuff. So it's like that basically. You can say basically it's like that. So one person told that up to what level the mapping basically are done. Up to what level the mappings basically are done. Up to what level mapping means, for example, the 100 crore child basically are dumped inside the body basically, inside the land basically, inside the land, and inside the land basically 100 crore child basically process is happening. 100 crore child basically process is happening. So that all basically are mapped with this current generation basically. So they are basically going to map to this of the generation only basically. Other than basically it's not going to generate basically. It would be not like that basically the human clone will come and then basically they will allocate the data. That basically also happens, but that basically is very rare basically. Very rare basically that happens. But mostly basically the current generation basically which is created from that only the creation basically are mapped. So you can just understand basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected. Up to what level the stuff basically are connected. Up to what level the stuff basically are connected. So one person actually told that basically future creation basically that is the 100 crore child that is dumped according to that 10 crore project. So 10 crore project basically which was created basically by the software companies, they have dumped all the conditions. They have already decided that this will be the 100 crore data. That is 100% sure basically. That's why according to that only basically the projects are created. But very rare data basically are getting changed. For example, the 100 from 100 crore project basically, very rare few people basically data gets changed. For example, one person basically told that basically one software company told that basically his generation will not go next. But that can be changed by the universe group basically. They can immediately change. But that's basically very tough basically. But not for the universe basically. So they basically keeps changing also basically. That is also basically done basically. So you can just understand basically up to what level stuff basically are connected. Up to what level basically stuff basically are connected. Up to what level the stuff basically are connected. Up to what level the stuff basically are connected. So one of the person told that is it possible basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected. So from projects basically that is the 100 crore projects. Sorry, the 10 crore project basically which is created by the software companies. They have basically already decided the future of the 100 crore. Sorry, of the current generation basically which is ongoing. And that is basically finalized by the satellite group. That means one of the person told that the 100 crore, sorry, the 10 crore project basically which the 1 lakh software companies are doing, they are directly connected with the satellite groups. So here one of the question basically arise that is 1 lakh software company basically they have done the 110 crore projects. That data basically are given by whom basically? That is by default by the nuclear power company, energy company, and power company. They only gives the data, and they know that basically which data basically need to process, and which project basically need to create, and they basically know that basically in simple language basically we can say they know that which this basically for example there in this world basically there are here basically I am in India, so I'm talking about the India. Assume that basically 190 crore basically Indian population is there in the world basically. So when the project was created by the nuclear power company, energy company, and power company, they have the entire attributes, or basically you can say parameters of Indian nationality. So according to that, only the project data basically that is the rough data basically, which is given by the nuclear power company, energy company, and power company. They have given the data to this group, and they basically gives the data to set of companies basically who basically designs the business development projects. They have designed the business development project. Then basically this project basically are given to the business development officers. Here software company still basically has not connected. Then that group basically allocates the project to the servers. That basically everybody knows how basically the servers basically are connected. And few projects basically are connected with the directly with the companies by the business development officer. Which project basically are very critical. So you can just understand basically. So this is the basically stuff basically, and like this basically the entire system basically is created. So whenever basically 10 crore project was created, that data basically is by default basically given by the universe group only. But then also basically they checks the according to the data which is given by them basically. According to that only the projects are created. So you can just understand basically how the checking system basically are connected. how the checking system are basically running. The testing department basically they only test the data basically. They test the projects basically. They basically see that basically according to the requirement which is given by us, the project is created or not basically. The types of project basically that and that also basically up to attribute level basically they checks. For example, in payroll basically salary is there basically in salary basically the basic salary is there, PF basically is there, deduction, professional tax basically get deducts, then lots of incentive basically gets add. So this whole plus minus data is there. So in this basically payroll is one system and the in system basically the attributes are there basically, right? So that attributes are this salaries basically, basic salary, PF, this that incentive. So these all are basically the attribute level basically. So up to attribute level basically the universe group basically do the checking thing. So you can just understand. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic in detail.